All right, hello everyone, and welcome to our awesome Farmlink movie night with Be Local Wisconsin. My name is Lisa Giesen-Bauer, and I am the president of Be Local Wisconsin. And I just want to tell you a little bit about what Be Local Wisconsin is for those of you who are not familiar. Our purpose is to connect, support, and educate businesses to drive positive community impact through sustainable and inclusive practices. We do this in three ways. The first way is to connect strength throughout our community. Now, our B Corp community spans more than just the state of Wisconsin. There are B Corps across the United States and across the world. Right now, there's over 10,000 certified B Corps globally around the world. So I'd like to also welcome tonight Be Local Philly, who's in the house and joining us as another one of members of our community. The second way, yeah, woo woo, Philly. And this is the cool thing about our community. We're all interconnected and interdependent upon one another. So we love to work across the Be Local network in the US and Canada. The second way that we meet our purpose is that we promote the success of our Wisconsin-based B Corps. Currently, we have 26 certified B Corps in the state of Wisconsin, and our Be Local Wisconsin is really excited to be helping B Lab US and Canada to host the 2026 B Corp Champions Retreat, which will be in Milwaukee Earth Week in 2026. So super excited about that, to showcase what our B Corps are doing and to also play host to the B Corp community from across US and Canada. And then the third part of our mission, or how we meet our purpose, is through education. And we really believe that sharing knowledge is very important. So our program tonight is part of that knowledge sharing. Our website is belocalwisconsin.org. And if you'd like to know more about Be Local Wisconsin or check out our website or to engage with us, we have a form on our website that you could fill out. So you can just click the QR code that you see on the screen, and that will take you to our website. And now I am going to welcome our keynote presentation tonight. I'm going to welcome Haley, who is from the Farmlink Project. Haley, take it away. We're so excited to have you.
Awesome. Hi, everybody. Great to meet you all, and thank you for having me. I work with the Farmlink Project, and I've been with the organization for about 4 years. Started out as a student volunteer and then started working full time. So you'll hear a bit more about Farmlink's story, and that shows kind of where I jumped in, as it was a student-founded nonprofit. So getting kind of a high-level overview of the problem that exists and the solution that Farmlink provides. So we know that every year there's billions of pounds of surplus produce going to waste, which is generating millions of tons of greenhouse gas emissions. And all at the same time, there's 47 million Americans who are facing food insecurity. So it doesn't necessarily mean they're going hungry, but they don't have access to fresh, safe, nutritious food. So Farmlink's solution is to bridge the gap and connect farmers with surplus produce to communities facing hunger across the United States. So our story kind of split into 3 parts. Firstly, we began during the COVID pandemic, a group of college students identifying these problems, renting a U-Haul, and doing their first pickup and delivery from a farmer who had surplus eggs, and then bringing to a food bank in Santa Monica, California. Act 2, we recruited hundreds of student volunteers across the country, and that's where I started with Farmlink. And yeah, super scrappy and really all hands on deck, and doing this fully remotely. Act 3 is where we are today. We've moved over 400 million pounds of food, and we're extremely innovative, very collaborative within the charitable food space, and can be very nimble and efficient. So looking at our progress to date, we've moved 430 million pounds of produce, which is equivalent to, probably like 380 million meals or something like that. Not the exact calculation, but around there. And that's equivalent to over 300,000 tons of carbon dioxide equivalent emissions. Essentially, that's a collection of greenhouse gas emissions. And we've served 49 states over the US, worked with over 500 community partners, so various food banks, senior centers, churches, food pantries all over, and also ranging from cities to extremely rural areas. And we've grown in how much food we've delivered each year. So you can see on this graph that we started with under 50 million pounds of food the first year, and now we're delivering over 150 million pounds of food per year. Getting a little bit of a deeper look into how our food program works. So we, on average, are moving anywhere from 2 to 3 million pounds per week. Sometimes it's more. In the really busy summer months, it can get up to 5 million pounds. And 3 things that we pride ourselves on is quality, our reach, and responsiveness. So we are providing high quality fruits and vegetables and are able to reach a wide variety of organizations and hunger fighting charities across the country. And we can deliver the food within 24 to 48 hours, which is a lot faster than the traditional food banking model. And we are on call, 24/7, as in we will not say no to a load or an offer that has been made to us. Something interesting I also wanted to tap on, as this group is very in the loop of sustainability, is looking at food as a climate solution. So we know that if food waste were a country, it would be the world's second largest greenhouse gas emitter, and that's behind the United States and China. So reducing food waste is actually one of the most impactful and tangible climate solutions that we can address, or that we can put our energy into. So by reducing surplus, we're preventing greenhouse gas emissions and helping to address a handful of UN Sustainable Development Goals. And here are some lovely photos of produce that Farmlink moves, all different types of fruits and vegetables. And you can see that it's coming in bulk. So Farmlink is delivering truckloads at a time, which is about 30 to 40,000 pounds of food per truck. And we will oftentimes work with partners who they will mix food in boxes like this, so then they can hand it out to the recipients, and so they can get a variety of produce. This is just a slide showing some of the top corporate partners that we work with. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with them. So we wouldn't be able to do what we do without the financial support of a lot of these groups. And if anyone's curious, we receive financial support from companies as well as foundations and hundreds of individual households across the country. So one interesting part of our work I wanted to touch on is disaster relief, which has really come into play over the last year or two. So one case study was the East Coast hurricanes that occurred in the fall of 2024. So as these hurricanes were hitting the East Coast, we were speaking with a handful of growers in West Virginia who were facing 20 million pounds of apple surplus. So in partnership with various local and federal agencies, we were able to recover a significant portion of the apples and distribute them to hundreds of communities across 27 states. So in addition to the states impacted by the hurricanes, we delivered them all across. And yeah, so we have 8 million apples that were directly supportive of those communities in this time of need. Also, the LA fires. So Farmlink was founded in Los Angeles, so this one definitely hit close to home. And as this was happening, we acted very quickly and gathered our network, and were able to deliver 15 million pounds of not only fresh produce, but also shelf-stable goods, water bottles, and other products and items that were needed during that time. And something, too, that was important to note is that this was only able to happen because of the collaborative nature of Farmlink, and that we have the network and capacity to work with lots of other agencies and nonprofits and companies in the space. Also, just quickly wanted to touch on some of our fun corporate partnerships that we've done. So Chipotle one of our top partners. We do roundup campaigns with them every year. They've supported in a variety of disaster relief efforts as well, and have connected us with a lot of their growers to help reduce surplus within their own supply chain. And they've just been a really fun brand to work with. Intuit's a really unique partnership because they wanted to work with us from the climate standpoint, and because food waste is a climate solution, is really what drew them in. So it's been really cool to kind of share that impact with both of our audiences. And then Taylor Farms, they've been a produce donor for 5 years, and we've been able to deliver lots of healthy greens to communities. And then a fun part and really integral part of Farmlink is that we were started by students, and keeping this youth engagement and development a core of who we are is something that we strive to continue doing. So want to touch on 2 programs we have. So the Field Fellowship, that's short for Farmlink's Innovation, Education, and Leadership Development Fellowship, Field for short. So it's a 9-month program that essentially is building change makers within the food system, helping them identify problems that they see and create or think about the theory of change and how can we build solutions and projects to combat these. And then our summer internship, which is much shorter. So this is 10 weeks long and brings students into the world of Farmlink, teaches them about the food system, and they get to work directly with our teams, calling farmers, calling food banks, research, all that fun stuff. And then I also wanted to highlight the impact of the donations we receive. So for every dollar, we're able to move 17 pounds of food, and every donation we get, we can calculate, how many meals are made possible, the environmental impact metrics associated. So for example, if someone were to donate $100, this could rescue 1,700 pounds of food, make over 1,400 meals possible, avoid over 3,000 pounds of carbon dioxide equivalent emissions, and save over 59,000 gallons of water. So it's something really exciting for people to see that their dollars that they're donating is making a real impact. I had this slide in here twice, but has the same information. And then, that is the end of this presentation. And just want to thank you all for taking time to learn about Farmlink. And now we can transition into sharing this documentary. So this presentation is, high-level overview of what Farmlink is and what we do. And this movie that we made 2 years ago goes into detail of how Farmlink was started. So moving back to this story slide. So this film showcases how we were started and building the movement. So excited for you guys to see this. Oops. Okay.
For most of human history, we've been trying to figure out how to grow enough food to feed the world's population. Literally, we've been living in a food-scarce world. And when you talk to people, most people don't believe that even hunger in America is a solvable problem. Because for most of human history, it wasn't. Until now.
Members of the National Guard are being deployed across the country.
17 million more Americans could now face hunger because of the coronavirus pandemic.
More families are struggling to afford basic necessities.
There are these students making a big impact. Could they be the ones to tackle this crisis?
Tonight, young people across this country answering the call.
I think we basically had a 1 or 2 month window that we had to start this project, and if we missed that window, I think this would be a different story.
Every college student across the country was feeling the same thing, and it wasn't just hopelessness, it was feeling completely powerless.
A lot of college kids were in a similar situation of wanting to find a way to go out and help, but then not being able to leave our houses. And I almost think that this sense of not knowing, enabled people to do things that they wouldn't have otherwise.
I distinctly remember there's one image that really was the launching of this. I think it was the Pittsburgh Food Bank.
Hundreds of cars lining up for the Greater Pittsburgh Food Bank before it opened yesterday.
And it was this drone shot going over a freeway pass with miles-long lines for cars, and more than half the people were turned away that day.
You know, I had a lady here yesterday with 4 little kids in the car, and she says, I'm a waitress and I don't have any food.
Millions of children rely on their school lunches, and all of our schools closed. Those lunches don't get replaced for those students.
One of our little 12-year-old girls, it was about 10 o'clock in the morning, and this little girl fell out of her desk, passed out, scared me to death. I ran down there and to the room, and we called an ambulance. And when we revived her, we found out that she hadn't eaten in 6 days. And her last lunch was the school lunch on Tuesday. This is Monday morning at 10.
The guidance was, what can we do? It's like, you just got to stay home, and that's the most you can do. And you honestly felt like pretty powerless and kind of helpless. And when we then saw that crisis was happening at our local food bank, and they were going to have to close their doors if they couldn't get more food, that's when this thing became really real for us.
My mom was sewing masks for people because there was a mask shortage. There was this PPO shortage. And so the goal at the beginning was to just help in some way.
The most amazing thing that sort of confused us, and it almost didn't know how to make sense of it, was at the same time that we were reading about these mile-long lines at food banks and these food shortages, grocery stores being out of food, we were simultaneously reading articles about farmers being forced to throw away millions and millions of pounds of food every single day. There's footage of millions of bananas going to waste, hundreds of thousands of watermelons being smashed, millions of gallons of milk being poured down the drain. And at some point, we were like, you know what, we need to do something. We can't just sit here. We just said, let's connect one farm to one food bank. I'm James, I'm a college student. I get hung up on, how did you get my number? Who gave you this? Delete me from this list.
I just called a school bus company and was like, can we move food on the buses? They said no.
No surplus, not here.
And I hopped on Google, and for 4.5 hours, wrote down every farm that I could find that had been written about.
How is this possible? 75 farmers, and not a single one of them has had surplus food. Talking to all these farmers, they don't have anything, and yet I'm reading of this a massive surplus.
Oh no, it's not just that this is hard, but we were actually totally wrong about this whole thing.
I mean, it just wasn't even close. Just when we were losing hope on this idea, that was when the problem started to get worse.
1/3 of college students are food insecure. I guarantee you, people don't know that.
So I'm a sophomore at UC Berkeley, and I'm studying the super niche major, honestly. I've never seen it anywhere else. It's called Society and Environment. My background is the reason I am trying to pursue anything in this environmental field. Growing up, my mom worked in the fields. You go in before sunrise and you come out after sunset. You know, they worked hard, and then there wasn't that on the table. We would walk in the neighborhood of where there was apartments, and all the apartments had giant dumpsters. So we would go look through the dumpster, and cause I was small, she'd be like, you go in there. I would, if there was unopened stuff, we would just take it, or clothes or whatever. So it was always what is this system? What the heck, you know?
I mean, food is, the most basic element for for life. And the reality is that in this country, 37 million Americans don't have access to sufficient and consistent nutritious food. And I think that is like a root of a lot of our problems. I saw this article in the New York Times, and it focused in on one farmer specifically.
When you close all the restaurants, you change the whole supply chain.
He literally had to take tractors and dig a giant ditch and bury 6 million pounds of onions.
The supply chain is broken, guys. Nobody wants those onions.
If there's any chance that this idea has any hope of working, you know, we're 2 days into this, no one has replied, it is this guy. This is do or die. Picked up the phone, dialed him, and I think he just picks up the phone. Shay Myers here.
That was a really scary moment, actually. Very frustrating, very scary, and we usually know how to pivot. And in that setting, we didn't know what to do. It was just scary.
So what was interesting at the beginning when we were calling people is that we were talking to really small farms who might have been actually more successful because there was more local buying at that time. And Shay Myers was the one who told us, yes, at commercial farms, at large farms, we are struggling.
We had 2 million pounds of onions. We didn't know if we were going to be able to find a home. James and Farmlink called, and I said, come get them. We've got 2 million pounds.
We go pick up that U-Haul. We strap this bed sheet, you know, duct taped onto the back of the side of the car. It says Farmlink. We pick up those age of students. We drive to the farm. We deliver them to the food bank.
After we got in touch with Shay, things happened very quickly. I mean, the first 2 deliveries, both with us driving U-Haul with the eggs and the delivery from Shay, came back to back.
My name is Martha Barajas. I'm a longtime resident of Compton for 50 years. This is how I feed my family. And not only my family, I feed my neighbors and thousands of cars.
And now the produce is high in the grocery stores, you know, so to be able to come here and to receive this food is wonderful.
We had so much to learn so quickly. So I remember we got connected with another charitable food organization, and we said, hey, we see this problem that's happening across the country. We know demand has doubled. This is our organization. We're moving all this food. Is there anything that we can do to help? Because we know you guys understand this space. And I remember them kind of like looking at us, you know, like almost like laughing.
And they said, you guys can't help. Like, just keep, you know, just keep hanging out of your houses, worry about your families. We got this covered. I'm sorry, but you don't have it all handled. So if there's any small way we can help, even, you know, just locally, just let us know. But we were totally kind of brushed off.
I mean, it was a national organization with serious resources. You know, if they wanted to, they could snap their fingers and move all of this food. But yeah, they're slow to responding to it. And it wasn't just one, it was multiple organizations. Good for you guys for doing something, but you know, we'll take it from here. It really pissed me off. I remember leaving that call angry but motivated as ever that we had something to prove.
And I don't think anybody had any idea of what was going to happen next.
This is World News Tonight with David Muir. Finally tonight here, the children teaching us what it means to be America strong.
So someone just texted, you guys are on the world news. Immediately, everything just blew up.
ABC World News Tonight is the most watched newscast in the entire world.
Tonight, young people across this country answering the call. College students starting Farmlink, connecting farmers with food banks.
Students from all around the country started responding to our little website.
Hi Farmlink, my name is Jane.
I'm Alex. I'm Annika Patel. I'm a sophomore at Bates College.
I grew up food insecure and wanted to make sure other people didn't go food insecure.
Suddenly we had a team of 100, 150 people.
Hauling thousands of farmers a day.
We're sending food from Oregon to California, all the way out to Florida. We're getting food from the East Coast.
All the adults in the world haven't figured out how to end world hunger. But these college students aren't willing to take no for an answer. Like, that gets people's attention.
I remember we had this one goal. Let's move 1 million pounds of food. And if we could do that, I mean, that would be amazing. And within 3 weeks, we'd moved 1 million pounds of food.
In a day and a half, we had $150,000 in our friend's bank account. Like, holy.
This is something much bigger than any of us realized.
Love it. Good night.
Now this is the crew I've got to work for me, and you talk about pains in the rear, we got them. And that man right there, I hadn't seen him do a day's work in 6 months, so I'd like to get him on camera for sure. How you doing, Gerald? I'm doing good right now. We're in the northeastern part of Oklahoma. We're probably 70 or 80 miles from Tulsa, but we're basically a rural area. Now that the groceries have gotten higher, our crowd's getting bigger, and it's gaining every day. We're getting more now than we were 2 months ago, just because of the price of food.
Millions of families were still flooding a charitable food system that was never designed for a crisis. At the time, we'd moved 1 million pounds of food, but the thing was, to really change things, we'd have to move 100 million pounds of food. And it was like, how are we gonna do that? Because our whole team, we're in school right now, half our team is in finals. Hey, it's been a week, we haven't moved any food. Hey, it's been 2 weeks, we haven't moved any food. Is this really gonna kind of work? It definitely settles in. Hey, we have an important role to play here, and we need to step it up, and we sort of need to put, school and life and all those other things on hold, and this is what we need to be focused on right now. And it was like, just a cascade of people who all of a sudden jumped ship and said they're all in.
The biggest thing that became interesting to me was the logistical processes that broke down as the agricultural supply chain became untethered, whether it's going to go to waste in the field, in transition, while it's being moved to a grocery store, when it's at the grocery store. We want to make sure that Farmlink can capture any of that waste.
Jordan and Caroline were like superheroes. They were flying, remember I described that potato deal that took like 30 hours for us to coordinate? They were coordinating like 40 of those every week.
We worked with the Navajo Nation, and we worked in Bakersfield, in Brooklyn. We did a deal in Hawaii. We were all over.
Yeah, I got this one guy on the line. I don't remember exactly where the farm he was from. I think it was around 3,000 pounds of potatoes. This food's gonna go off and literally help thousands of people. And that was kind of like that. Oh shoot, this is the impact that this organization can have.
The missing link is just the transportation. It's the logistics to get it there. And that's what we can do. I think what we started to realize is, all of Farmlink, all the students, we were united by one mission. People were there for a lot of different reasons. I remember one student, Joe, and he's literally the most lively kid you've ever met. And I remember, we've known him now for 4 months, and we're at our end of ceremony thing, and everyone's sharing, and I remember Mark, he starts speaking, and he's so positive. Hey everyone, and he explained to us that just a few months before that, his dad passed away from COVID. And he explains this was the only thing that kept him going, was Farmlink. Instantly, just bawling, crying.
My dad was a believer in helping people. He came from a very rough background himself, and he always believed in paying it forward in any way he could. And, it's something he instilled in me, and it was a way of feeling closer to my dad, and also fighting back against what took him from me.
Even the people in the most pain right now were willing to do something to help others. And I think for a lot of people, myself included, Joe sharing that with us was just proof of how strong the bonds are.
One by one, as the world seemed to return to normal, we were seeing all these organizations that had popped up during the last 2 years start to go away.
A lot of people came together to support healthcare workers and first responders. So my line of questioning was, is this it, or are you going to go the distance?
People kept asking us, oh, the pandemic's over, there won't be any more surplus food, right? And it's like, no, that's completely wrong. This is literally just the beginning.
It feels like we have one of the biggest opportunities to solve a major issue that I could possibly imagine, and it's right in front of us. Every single year, 30 to 40% of the food that's grown, that's quality, nutritious food, goes to waste. Doesn't even make it to the grocery stores, doesn't even make it to your table.
These 7 grains of rice represent the average amount of food someone eats in a lifetime. And then this is how much food goes to waste in America each year.
This was not a problem caused by the pandemic. These were systemic issues that were exacerbated by those conditions. And people are really starting to talk about it.
This is a tomato I bought from the grocery store. And here are 3 tomatoes that would have been thrown away on a farm. Can you spot the difference? This one here is a little too mushy. This one has a small dent in it. And this one, well, suppliers cut the contract last minute, so it has nowhere to go. And it's not just one tomato here and there. It's a whole system designed to throw away 30% of all food.
We're growing enough food to feed every person on this planet. We're growing enough food to feed the population nearly 2 times over. And I think when we started to realize, wow, this is much bigger than just the pandemic, than just responding to the crisis, we needed to bring in the big guns.
My name is Luis Fernando Yepes.
Where are you from?
I was born in Ciudad Obregón, Sonora, Mexico. I decided to join Farmlink because I believe with my whole heart that we can create a system which will allow everyone to have access to food, to make sure that we give aid to communities that have been neglected for decades. I grew up with a lot of people that even working all day, every day, they couldn't make enough to eat. I grew up with kids that their idea of lunch was to go to the fruit trees and, taking a mango to eat. I see food recovery as an arrow that is breaking new ground as it hits space. And in the Farmlink Project, I saw the future. I saw the Farmlink Project being the tip of that arrow.
There are people who are experts in their domain who are choosing to join Farmlink because they view it as this movement for change. We have Mike Meyer, this Texas farmer who knows U.S. agriculture like the back of his hand, and Luis Yepes, who has spent his entire life thinking about how we can rescue food throughout the supply chain. And what unites everyone is still what united us at the start. It's this feeling that we are doing something really special and something new and urgent and important.
Mike sent us this memo, and you start to go through it, and it shows us one county in Texas, and population this many people, percent food insecure, this many percent. All of a sudden, you finish this math, you follow it, and for $75,000, we can solve hunger in that county. And I remember Mike just going, "We're going to do this block by block. We're going to do this county by county and state by state, and we actually can bring an end to this."
This was just a project to help our local food bank. And now it's grown into something that has the capacity to feed millions of people every single day with dignity.
But we can only do it if we can all work together. It's going to take a movement of people.
Farmlink. Farmlink. Want to give the Farmlink Project a check for $15,000.
I've seen food waste in my entire career, and this group is tapping into something really special.
大学生が立ち上げたプロジェクト、Farmlink.
Just this week, more than 600,000 avocados distributed at FDR Park.
1 million pounds of food. Farmers and food banks telling them they are grateful.
People don't think students are really capable of anything. I'll leave this to the adults.
As of yesterday, we've saved 60 million pounds of food.
And I think what we really believed was that in times of crisis, it's young people who step up to lead.
Hi, this is Jane. For our movement to create lasting change, we need your help. With $10.
Hello. Okay. So that is our documentary. And as you saw, our numbers have increased significantly since then. I believe this was released in 2022 or 2023. So yeah, we're now over 400 million pounds. And when this released, we were at about 100. And so we've come a long way even since this was put out. But really cool to always see how we were started. So I can pass it to anyone if you have questions or just any comments or thoughts.
Well, first off, congratulations. I mean, that's an amazing success story. And I think I love it because it's such a simple way of just rethinking about something that's been in existence for obviously quite some time. I think we tend to overcomplicate things just in general, and just having the courage to think differently is, I think, always welcome. One thing, I don't know if as a group you guys have explored this at all, but I have the fortunate ability to travel quite a bit, and I'm very hooked into the Irish community here in southeastern Wisconsin, and we go back and forth to Ireland quite a bit. And when you go to Ireland, they are so connected to their past of the famine, which created mass exodus from Ireland. And we don't really have something like that here in the States to jog our recent memory about something that has displaced families, that has something that has had such a catastrophic impact on our livelihood. I mean, we had like the Dust Bowl that impacted obviously the Great Plains, but it's not something that I think is even really taught very well in our school system. So it's interesting when you go to other countries and they have a very embedded sense of what it means to have a healthy food system and be able to care for people. And they take it, for example, in Ireland, when you go over there, they have monuments everywhere to the famine, and they have remembrances and plaques and things that show how it impacted literally every single town and city in the country. And it's devastating when you read about it, but I think it's also something that gives your group even much more credence to what you're doing, because it's something that I think, like, it's a historical moment we all lived through COVID, and it was obviously something that spurred an action. But until we all live through a collective experience like that, it often doesn't make us change, right? It often doesn't promote us forward. So when I was watching the movie, in my head, I was thinking about last time we were just in Dublin last year, and thinking about the very stark reminders across the city of where the famine markers are, of where the people left in the ships to get out. And it was 7 years worth of famine. I think that's the other thing that's impossible for us to wrap our heads around, is that they endured 7 years worth of food shortage. And if you think about if that were to happen here, what type of catastrophic level that would cause. So, sorry, just my my take on it. But I think it's like, at the end of the day, we're really talking about human stories and how, like, it can help us, get people to join in the efforts that we're trying to move forward.
Totally. Yeah. And that's such an interesting reflection.
I was gonna, well, first I'll just echo, I mean, it's an amazing story, and it's awesome how much progress you've made in the movement, and just kudos and all of that, and forging a path of logistics, and I mean, it's just amazing. I kind of have a nuanced question, because I just was thinking about other, I guess, like for-profit sort of food waste solutions, like the imperfect produce and things like that. I'm curious if that sort of model is, are you competing in a direct way, or is that like such a different scale than your movement that's not something that you come across with like the sort of the for-profit food waste solutions.
Yeah, that's a good question. So, on the surface, it kind of looks like it could be competition, but in reality, I think the markets are different. And then also, I know companies like Imperfect or Misfits Market, they're looking, they often get like the ugly produce, and so do we, but we also tap into a lot of the grower networks where they might have perfectly fine, like nothing is wrong with it, but they just have too much of it. So there's just a handful of situations like that. And then we're, working with these food banks, and then more of the for-profit models, they have like there's certain demographics that they're reaching. So it ends up kind of all working out. But I actually was talking to someone from one of those companies recently, and they said that it can be challenging to make those types of models profitable sometimes.
So I want to say thank you so much for coming, Haley, and sharing your amazing story. I'm super excited about everything that Farmlink is doing. And I looked it up. Farmlink is part of 1% for the planet. So
Yeah.
anyone who's watching this, who's a B Corp, is part of 1% for the planet, you can make your donations to Farmlink, and that will go towards your 1% for the planet membership. So I just want to highlight that for everybody, because I think that's really important. And we like to, as an owner of a B Corp, as part of 1%, we like to really support environmental projects that are doing amazing work, such as the Farmlink Project. So I just want to say thank you so much for coming. Like, your project is so inspiring. I can't wait to show this video out to others so they can see the work you're doing. I just think it's so amazing and important. And I love that it's students. Erin and I both work with students. And so we love showcasing the fact that students have amazing ideas and the go-getter attitude that maybe as you get older, you don't have as much of, because the world beats you down.
Lisa, I actually just said that in the webinar yesterday that I delivered, because I was talking about the fact if you watch kids, and I'm talking like littler kids, right? Like address a problem, they're usually very open-minded. They're like open to thinking about something differently, trying something. And then the older we get, we lose that, as said, that we get our lumps and we get our bruises from different things. And I think it's important for us to kind of stay useful in that way, like, right, like just be willing to think about something different, and encouraging if someone does have a different idea, don't just shut them down, right? Like, hear them out and see how it might help improve. So yeah, I'm all for that.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I appreciate having this platform and sharing our story around. And yeah, we love 1% for the planet. So anyone that's involved, feel free to let them know about us. But yeah, you can reach out to me anytime if any questions pop up.
Does anybody
else? I love the fact that all of your staff profiles are the photos of you as kids.
Oh yeah.
Does anybody else, Kathleen or Kim, do you have any questions for Haley? Oh, Kathleen, you're muted.
Thank you. Apologize for being late. No excuses other than got involved in like life and family stuff. So, and then I went, oh no, I'm late. So hopefully I'll be able to see the first part of the documentary at some time in the future, because what I saw was just so amazingly inspiring that I'm, really, really impressed with everything that you're doing. And I don't know a lot about, one of my previous coworkers was very involved in the food bank at Oregon State University. I used to live out in the state of Oregon, and they had a very strong system of working with the local farmers and things like that to supply their food bank for the students who were food insecure. But so that's like my very limited view of a problem, right? That obviously is much bigger when you expand it beyond just the university setting. But just the passion that the students had to help meet the needs of their fellow students was inspiring. And now you all have just taken it to such a bigger level that it's very impressive. And the company that I work for is always looking for, we're not a 1% for the planet. Sorry, Lisa. But we are a B Corp, and we're always looking for interesting, unique nonprofits, organizations that are doing good work to make charitable donations too. So I will definitely share your information with we call it 3D Gives. Our company is called 3 Degrees. So our 3D Gives group, in hopes that they'll be able to make some sort of donation. So
yeah, that would be amazing. Thanks so
Mhm.
much.
Yeah.
Kathleen, that kind of segues into my, I guess, my probably final question, which is, what are some of the like action steps that you would, want us to share or engage with? I mean, obviously donations, like in that monetary way, can move that needle, but are there other like ways to get engaged? Is it the awareness piece that is most helpful at this point? Like what's a good next step for any viewer?
Yeah, well, I was gonna say one thing I can do is, okay, so if you go on our website, you can sign up for a newsletter. So that's probably the easiest way to kind of stay informed with updates with Farmlink. And then in addition to just being connecting us with the companies that you work with or know, I think general introductions and networking is helpful. Like if you know someone who knows someone that works at this foundation, like just connections like that are super impactful for us. And if you have, young people in your life, late high school or in college, and they might be interested in our internship or fellowship, that's also a way to get involved. We unfortunately don't have open volunteer opportunities, just given that we're fully remote. But every once in a while, we have in-person events in cities like LA, New York. We haven't done anything in Wisconsin yet, but we for sure move food throughout that state. So just little things like that pop up where people can engage in person.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Haley. I wasn't able to hop on at the beginning, so thank you also just to Lisa and the local team to kind of step in and get this going. I'm thankful that we were able to make this happen. I apologize for any background noise. I had to run to a coffee shop to hop on here. But just on behalf of the local Wisconsin, thank you so much for taking the time out of your evening to share this with us, and we'll be obviously sharing this out with our networks as well.
Amazing. Cool. Thank you all so much. So great to meet you guys. And just thank you for all your kind words and support.
Awesome.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So on behalf of Be Local Wisconsin and Be Local Philly, thank you, Farmlink, for sharing all the great stuff you're doing, and congratulations on the work you're doing. We will help to share the message out with our community.
Absolutely.
All right,
Thank
good night,
you.
everyone.
Good night.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Bye, everyone. Okay.